You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet.
What's up folks, my name is Sir Medieval and today we'll be jumping into some even more news about Chronicles of Elyria. Over the past week or so, there's been some updates for Chronicles in the form of things like domain and settlement selection, the August community dev blog post, the Settlers of Elyria, etc. So far what's happened regarding domain selection is that recently, Dukes had the opportunity to choose their lands, and now that the duchies have been picked, it'll now be moving on to counts in about 2 days from now, and then on the 16th, mayors will begin. Some mayors pick sooner than others of course, mine in particular will be on the 20th. That Friday, I'll be able to choose where my settlement will be and what resources my village will have. Settlers of Elyria is also something that was talked about, which is essentially a land auction that takes place after domain and settlement selection. It gives players the opportunity to buy land still available after chosen by us. Also makes it so that the servers fill even more with population so that there's as few gaps between players as possible, while also giving Soulbound Studios more funding to continue development. Be sure to keep in mind as well that Chronicles of Elyria is planning on delivering a massive evolving open world experience that is rarely seen in other games. Whenever you have a town that has no players in it, it will still be a living, breathing settlement or town filled with NPC players and ran by NPCs as well. They follow the same laws that we set in place and act as we want them to, or how their design compels them to. So even if you have, let's say, 5 players in a town, which most would consider small, there will still be about 50 to 70 NPCs all around you interacting during the day. That's something that also makes Chronicles of Elyria set itself apart from other games in my mind. It's easy for people to release sandboxes these days that have a ton of players flocking to them and ride the hype, but once that wave is gone and people go back to wanting something more or playing something they can't get away from, well, the game dies. Feels empty and doesn't have that fun factor anymore, because it's a game built on needing players to thrive. So for Settlers of Elyria, if you're interested in the idea, you'll first need to wait for the announcement to happen. There may be restrictions in place before you can purchase land, like owning a bloodline pack for instance. The land you purchase will also have an asterisk next to it in the purchase window if an upgrade for your package is required. You won't be able to simply purchase land above your existing title. And as for the cost, it's hard to say what you'll exactly be paying for the land, but they did lay out an estimate of what we could expect. For settlements, the price may vary from about $65 USD to about $135. For counties, it'll be around $350 USD to $650. Duchies would be about $650 to $1,350, and a kingdom would be around $3,500. And if you're curious how much land you'd be buying with these titles, there are of course design journals that go into a lot of detail on it, alongside the ability to look at the domain and settlement selection map like we can, but I love to compare it to Crusader Kings in terms of how the titles work and the size. But be sure to stay tuned for this update. And for the August Community Journal, Serpentius goes into some details looking back at the previous month, the public testing for domain and settlement selection maps, and even the special event livestream that took part into going into some of the mechanics of the domain map itself. He also mentioned that due to community feedback, the limited time county upgrade was introduced. Alongside that came the mayor upgrade in the online store, which allowed players to go from bloodline to mayor. One thing that I absolutely love about the community journal as well is that they also released a list and description of the professions available to both the players and the NPCs in game. It goes into things like blacksmithing, bounty hunting, building, and so much more. There's a huge list of professions detailed in this post of theirs, and for that I'll leave a link in the description below. The last bit of news is from the Dance of Domains, which goes into the plans of what the testing phases will look like. Starting it off with Alpha 1, it talks about during the first part of the testing phase, those with access will be playing an early version of Elyria providing feedback, without the government system being implemented. And that part is very important as well, because Alpha 1 will not be an accurate representation of how the game will end up being in the next few tests, and of course after launch. It's just a test drive. Alpha 2, however, will focus more on the management features coming into play and also include the knowledge, contract, and gossip systems, which are also said to be a part of Alpha 1 too. Although the progress from these alphas and betas will be wiped, it gives us the opportunity to put these systems to the test in a variety of ways, such as ruling the lands of Elyria. Kingdoms of Elyria will be where scribes pick up their quills and record the events of our stories. By this time, the features that support individual advancement and national play will have been tested, validated, iterated, and approved for elements of real game to begin. These communities we've been forming around the game will finally have the opportunity to put our plans into play in Elyria's pre-launch history. And finally, in exposition, anyone with access will be invited into Elyria to give it its final shape. New buildings, new roads, new characters, and more will be popping up as exposition points are used to buy special items and kits. This also allows us to further improve our domains to fit our playstyles or help the lands as a whole. Don't like the primary industry of your settlement? Change it to another one that you have resources for. Or did you wish you had more blacksmiths? Add more workshops and forges. We could even turn a small dock area into a commercial harbor with this stage. The exposition points are obtained through our packages and also through buying separately through the website store. There's also a forum post that goes into details on what kind of kits we might be able to purchase, and I'll link that in the description below. Be sure to check it out because it does have some good information about exposition in there. And finally folks, that is all the news we have for today. Thank you all very much for joining me, and if you need a community for Chronicles of Elyria, I'll leave a link to the game's Discord below, where you can meet a lot of helpful people and join up with groups like the one I'm a part of. If you're checking out the North American West server and need a kingdom or otherwise, we've got you covered there too. And thanks so much for joining me folks, and I hope you have a wonderful night or day. And farewell.